Hello everyone. Today we're going to be going over the process I use for my bases, and I took this from another YouTube channel. Took their idea, so I'll try to find that and link that in the description below. What I've done is I've primed the bases. I've taken them apart and I primed them gray, and then I just took some sticky tape, some painter's tape, and masked off the half of it. So I guess this would be the bottom half. All I've done is this is just some black paint. And I'm not painting the whole thing, just kind of across the middle and a little bit on the sides to kind of fade it up. This is going to be the red side of the base, and this black, once we put a little red in there, it'll just be a great way to darken that. So just kind of showing you how I do each one. It was kind of humorous. The first one always takes, a little longer, and then just kind of start knocking these out. I think I did about 9 of these at once. So just going over this, you can thin out your paint, just normal, and just apply it lightly, like you would any airbrushing technique. So we'll just go through these. I think in this video, I show examples of less and less, as it's pretty obvious what I'm doing here. I think we have a couple more here. So yeah, also on that masking tape, some good advice is you don't want it to be too sticky. I mean, like just lightly, just enough to stick to it, because you don't want it to pull up the primer, or once we turn this around and we put the tape on the side that we're painting right now so that we can paint the green, you don't want to bring any of the paint up. Even though the paint line is just coming, it's right along the edge where we'll be painting some metallics. So now I'm applying burnt red, just a darker red. We're only going to be doing, I think we do this layer, which, as you see, covers up most of it. We don't want to just totally cover the black, but we just want a little bit of a fade or gradient going into that. We're going to use this burnt red, and then just a bold red, just a pure red, and then we're going to mix a little orange into it just for a highlight in the center edge. This is a good way if you're just starting out with an airbrush, because you can't make any horrible mistakes with this, and it just helps you with not only like trigger control, but just also just working on those effects that we use our airbrush for, getting those great quick gradients. You could do all this with a regular paintbrush, a hand brush. It would just, it'd take a lot longer, quite a bit longer. I mean, this whole process, I don't remember exactly. I'm sure it was, the airbrushing part was 20 minutes, maybe. That probably, maybe closer to 30 minutes, but cutting in all the metallic details was the majority of the time on this. The effect that you get here is, compared to the amount of time you spend, is pretty well spent. And it always amazes me when I'm airbrushing. I have this masked off. It doesn't look good. I've been to a airbrush class, and we talk about the ugly phase, and this is kind of what it is. It's like, it's just black and red. Now we're going with that pure red, just more towards the center of this. As you'll see, we'll just kind of do a few here. It's like, well, what use, or, am I really doing anything? And I think we'll all be pleasantly surprised or shocked when you see, how this turns out. But with that big blue piece of tape there, it kind of draws our eye away from the gradient. And now we're just looking at my paint pot there. That looks like I mixed in some orange, just a bright orange with the red, and just hitting the edge there. And you can build these up as much as you want, but this is the base, and I think it makes a big difference. Putting your painted aircraft for the game on a painted base, it just really helps them stand out. You spend a couple of hours, and I think it's well worth the effort. And also, like I said, if you're a beginner airbrush user, it's a great way. I recommend everybody to get an airbrush if you can afford and you have the space for it, for painting terrain and base coating and stuff, and then you can start working some neat effects. So now we're going to paint the other side, like the radar side, and we're going to skip the black phase. It's not as necessary because you can use this dark, this is just a dark green or a black green, and you just cover up that whole side. Pretty simple, no gradation, it's just a base coat, because we'll be able to layer on the brighter greens, and you'll be able to see that dark transition there. So just covering the whole thing. I'll be talking about some other like added things, you know, if this is like your favorite game, you may want to, you know, really go all out on your bases, but this is just a quick, you know, casual gamer, something you can do. So now this is, I've added in some just regular green, that bright green, maybe, you know, I say 50-50 mix, but it's just whatever it takes to get a little bit of tonal variation, you know, to get the change in there. And just like we did on the other side, on the red side, just kind of working more towards the edge of the base as opposed to, you know, the center. We don't want to cover up all our work. We're kind of making that fade in there. Just going, this is a brighter green. You can just maybe a pure green, just working on a smaller and smaller area. And now we go with our highest highlight, which is like a pale yellow green, yellow being the highlight for green, and just getting that center piece. This would be the equivalent of what we did on the other side, mixing in the orange. So one of the things that I've seen other video creators do, you know, recommend is like on this side, the radar side, once it's dried, is put like little white dots on there to represent you know, the incoming aircraft on the radar. So here you see, without the masking tape, what it looks like. And pretty simple, all we have left now is the metallics. I do a silver. This is Vallejo Metal Air. The color is dark aluminum. Really like that. It's not too bright. I don't put a wash on this silver. Again, that's something you can do and you can highlight it up, but for me, on this project, I didn't see it necessary. So just covering all the major dividing lines, and then a little bit on that insignia. The other raised icons I'll do in a gold, which I will put a wash on. We'll see that in a moment. So one of the other steps that you can take that I do not take here is you could blackline all those recesses. Even more, you could take a black paint or ink or wash and just go in, especially on like the radar side, and just really darken those recesses. You know, probably wouldn't on these 9 bases or so, probably wouldn't take, you know, but just a few minutes, you know, take you know, 20 or 30 minutes. It's also one of those steps that you can go back and do. You do want to lay down a pretty good, I believe, you know, a very good matte varnish, or, you know, whatever varnish you like, just to protect this, because you are going to be handling these. You may disassemble the aircraft and the stand, so they're going to kind of get beat up a little bit. So here I've completed all the silver work, and then I'm just going back with a gold, just some type of bright gold. I will be putting a red wash to complete this process, but real simple, real quick process. When I completed all these, I you know, inevitably find a couple of little icons that I miss, but it's pretty simple to go back. So then I just take a red wash. This is Reichland Flesh Shade from Citadel Paints, and I just lightly go over all the gold parts. And again, I don't highlight these up, but you can do that. You can, after the wash dries, go and do that, no problem. But this, again, another quick process. One of the other things I don't think I showed on the video is these are, of course, disassembled, because the paper dials, you don't want, you know, to airbrush paint over those, so they are disassembled. I did prime though, or I had them partially assembled, because as you can see on the side, there is a little bit that you need to go back and paint with the silver as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you have an idea of what you can do with your bases to further enjoy the game. Thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will have more videos for this game coming up in the future. Have a wonderful day and be kind.